There we go. Go ahead.
I cannot agree more with the using the word intentional. Intentional living is such an important thing because otherwise you leave everything up to chance, right? Otherwise it's just a hope that things will magically turn out in the way that you want, or you'll experience the life that you want to have, or the peace that you want to have, or the success that you want to have. No, everything has to be thought out from it's thought out but not attached to the result of it, right? That's where we hold lots of things open because we don't really know how anything's going to turn out. All we could do is throw our best energy and our best guess at something, but it's when we put the deep thought into it and we address things, that we address life from that internal, first from the internal perspective, like the things that drive us internally and the values and the priorities. We start there and then we put our best effort into making our life happen. That's where we're gonna have the most success that we can absolutely have.
Yeah. What's interesting, I'm thinking about, so on the topic of intentionality, like we're a homeschooling family. I mentioned, everybody knows in my audience, like I got a chance to retire young, come home, homeschool our kids for lots of years. And then about 5 years ago, started my own business. And in that intentionality, actually what I wish, I don't know if somebody didn't tell me this or I just wasn't listening. It's probably the latter. But I wish I would have understood a little bit earlier in life that when I make a commitment to be intentional, like in our household, raising our kids to know and love Jesus, that's what we do, and homeschooling along the way, that's our journey. I wish I would have understood the amount of time that was going to take to walk itself out, because I can remember taking like my corporate brain and trying to apply that to other people and what we wanted to do over this long haul and thinking, why is it not happening right now? I am being intentional. I'm doing these things. And really, actually, as I look back and reflect, and you might have found this as well, Rebecca, or just talk to clients that have done this, is that I look back and I was like, dang it, I did not need to be so uptight for so long. Or dang it, I did not need to walk in so much fear for so many years. Or dang it, I didn't mean to be so frustrated as I matured and my kids matured and my husband matured. Like I can look back now, we're not done with the journey of raising children and homeschooling and working and all those things, but I have a much better appreciation for the slowness sometimes that it takes to work some of these really big intentionalities and really big picture ideas out. But in the moment, I didn't feel that way. In the moment, I had a hard time acknowledging it.
Yeah, that's the being satisfied in the messy middle. That's the name of the podcast, right? It's learning how to be satisfied where you're at today, knowing you want something else, knowing that you're moving toward a bigger goal of some kind. And you can feel satisfied and joy in the messy middle of not having it. And you get to feel joy and satisfaction when it's achieved, right? That's freedom right there, right? Where it doesn't matter if you ever achieve the goal or not. You can find satisfaction all the way through the process. You can find satisfaction in the failures. You can find satisfaction in the whatever it is. When you can feel satisfied and joy and happiness and success today, no matter what the circumstances are, I mean, that then the world is available to you, right? That's the freedom that I think God gives us, right? He never promises specificity of what our life is going to be like. He doesn't promise specific success, if you will, but he does promise the internal experience that we get with success at all times. And that's why so much of the journey is an internal focused, and then using that to direct your external action, priorities, scheduling, and so forth.
I love that. I love that, because I can remember in those times when I chose to step into that and step out of the other negative feelings that I was thinking at. We had so much more fun schooling. We had so much more fun just working. We had so much more fun just in our household. We had so much more joy and satisfaction and what was possible at each step of the way. Like our journey, I've jotted it down. Our mission statement in homeschooling was we would do high level academics, get everybody ready to be great adults in life, but then we also would travel a lot. And we did all that. Right. Even as I stepped out of the corporate space and gave up that big income and we lived on my husband's income, which was significantly lower. We still when I sat down and journaled, and this is one of the things I love to have clients do, is sitting down and just taking note, making record of what is working and what is the definition of success, what is working well in your life at any given point. You can do this all the time. Just giving yourself unedited privileges and rights to maybe even just take 15 minutes or 30 minutes and start out and say, I'm determined to write down 20 things that are amazing in my life right now. Mm-hmm. And then just turn your phone over, turn everything else off, turn Netflix off. We love Netflix. It's amazing till it's not. But like disconnect from all those things and give yourself the ability and the opportunity and the privilege to just write some things down of saying, actually, this is what's going good. And that just that introspection, and it sets you free.
Important. It's true. Our human brains have a negative bias, right? I hear a lot from clients. I'm so passive. There's this kind of this negative self-talk that we all engage in. And then there's judgment for having the negative self-talk. Let me just make sure everybody knows all human beings have a negative bias brain, right? 80% of our thoughts are negative, and 95% of them are the same thoughts that you had yesterday, which are the same thoughts that you had the day before. We think in habit, we think in pattern, right? God designed our brain uniquely in that way to keep us alive and to keep us surviving. So naturally, you're always going to focus on the things that are not going well and the ways that you're missing the mark or the things that you want to be different. That's not hard for most of us to point out. We actually have to take a lot of intentionality in redirecting it into the things that are working and the things that we love and the things that we want to celebrate. Like we actually have to put intention behind it, because only 1 out of 5 thoughts is going to happen naturally that way. So it's such an important practice. I agree. And I have a practice that I give my clients. I call it the daily work. And it's less focused on the external gratitude, if you will. And more focused on the internal, right? So it's not just what's going well in life, it's what's going well in me. What do I believe about myself today that I believe about myself no matter if I'm hitting my goals or I'm not, or if I'm having a good day, or if I just yelled at my kids or I'm not, I'm still can believe this about myself. And so it's a very intentional practice to direct your mind to the things inside of you that you want to continue to cultivate and believe about yourself, no matter what the circumstances are in life. So important.
I love that. So I love important. We say that one of the simplest forms of communication is complaining.
Oh, so easy.
Simplest.
And you know what? Sometimes it feels really good. In fact, it does. Feels good, but it does not get us anywhere.
And we used to say, even your toddler can complain. Your toddler can point out everything that's wrong. No big deal. Just rolls off their tongue or whatever. Years ago, we were on a vacation and we were traveling around, and it was driving me crazy. The kids were like complaining. We're in this beautiful area. We're up in like Yosemite. It's the most amazing. No, sorry, edit that. We're up in Yellowstone. Right? Mm-hmm. We had been in Yosemite. We were in Yellowstone. It's gorgeous. We just see herds of buffaloes, eagles, everything. We've been out in nature all day long. It's awesome. And my kids are like, it was like one complaint after another. And I just was done. I was like, this is it. I'm done. So at that point in time, we instituted the no complaint zone. And so really what we would do is we would say all day long, whatever's going on, you're like, stop the complaints, because it just perpetuates itself over and over again. That's all we're focusing on. I was like, here's the deal. The complaint zone is open from 6 o'clock. We started at 6 o'clock to 6:10. And they'd be like, what? And I was like, everybody in the household, you can go full bore. You can let it out. You got to get it out. I'm not saying don't complain. And we have this, I think they call it like the Pollyanna approach, where everything is amazing all the time. Like, life's not amazing all the time. No. It is awesome, but it's not awesome all the time, I don't think. So I was like, okay, complaint department is open from 6 to 6:10. And that we did that over dinner a couple times. That way everybody could get it out, including my husband and I. Yeah. And then we started to shrink it down. I was like, all right, 6 to 6:06, and that's it. Or 6 to 6:05, and they'd be like, Mom. And I was like, no, don't complain all day long. Focus, like, you guys have pretty amazing lives. Like, are you kidding? I have one of my mentors say, don't tell me that you don't have anything in life when you have like your $1,000 iPhone. Come on, people. We can't afford all this stuff. Life's so awful. Really?
And there's a difference between complaining, and if you think about it in a kid, it's like whining. It has the different level of like intonation in your voice, that sort of thing. There's a difference between complaining and sharing a dislike, right?
Yes.
There's a way of talking about something that you're not happy with that is not complaining.
Right.
That is holding,
just acknowledging this is what's going on.
Holding in perspective the thing that you don't like in comparison to the rest of the things. And that, I assume, was probably okay. We can have lots of constructive conversation about things that aren't working on some level,
right,
under this umbrella of life is really great.
Right.
And we're going to hold it in perspective. I love that. So good.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah. It was good. It helped us to shift and be able to recognize, more than anything, it helped each of every one of us in our family to recognize what was coming out of our mouth.
Yeah.
Because if I'm gonna say that I'm intentional in raising my kids, if I'm gonna say that I'm intentional in my marriage and with my relationship with my husband, if I'm gonna say that I'm intentional with my business and with my clients and creating new offers, all these things, but I'm not watching what's going out through my mouth, then there's a little bit of a disconnect there. So what I actually loved about the whole practice of the complaint department in our household is all it did is help.
Yeah.
It helped tune each and every one of us in our own ears to what was coming out of our mouth.
I love
in
that.
just a more constructive way, so that each of us learn the skill of, oh, wait a minute, I can actually edit myself before the words coming out. And then also the freedom to say, it's not that we're never going to say that things aren't going wrong. Sometimes we're just acknowledging, man, this just sucks today. It just really does.
Yep.
But being able to tune each of us in our household, from my husband to myself to our kids, all that kind of stuff. And then it actually, what happens is you start recognizing all the people around you, and you're like, oh, okay. I'm hearing what I'm saying all the time, and I'm really paying more attention to it, because our words produce either life or death.
Yeah.
And so what do we want to do with that? I don't want to not acknowledge that things are challenging, but I also want to know that I feel like I want to follow God's word that says that I have the power in my tongue to produce the life or the death that I want.
Yeah.
And that I'm speaking out and I choose life. It's been so incredibly amazing. It does get some eye rolls every once in a while when I tell my teenagers. They're like, okay, Mom. And I'm like, yeah, we still want to watch what we're saying, because our lives are, what we say today is what leads our lives into tomorrow.
Yeah, no question. That self-talk is I just told it to my daughter, who was having a fit on the ground, and she was saying that she failed, and she was like repeating it over and over again about this Lego thing. Like, it was no big deal. And I said,
huge
careful.
To her.
Yeah, huge to her. I said, careful though. The most important words you ever speak are the ones you speak about yourself.
Yes.
Your brain hears that, and then it internalizes that, and then you believe something, right? That's how that works. And when we hear ourselves complaining about life, not feeling satisfied, not having the perspective, the joy that is possible for us, then we just perpetuate more and more of that, right? For sure. I love it. So good.
This conversation has been so amazing. I just love it. Rebecca, how can people just connect with you a little bit more? Do you have maybe let's start with this. Do you have any last thoughts? Just like practical and tactical, help somebody take one step forward in their journey, and then how can people connect with you?
Yeah, definitely. So I just want to probably dovetail off of this last comment around the most important words you ever speak are the ones you speak about yourself. Yeah. Because again, it comes back to the internal has to happen first before the external could ever change. And it's so easy to just want to try to figure out how to hold those boundaries, how to stop yourself from working, how to stop yourself from like scrolling on your phone or answering emails late at night or doing all of the overworking behaviors that we all want to change when we create a balanced life. And yet, coming back full circle back to something I said earlier in the beginning, you could, by sheer willpower, you can do that for a while, but it won't be sustainable unless something happens inside of you. Right. You have to believe that you are enough, that you are good enough, that you are doing enough, that you are worthy, that you have everything that you ever need, that God provided you with all of the internal resources that you ever need. Your thoughts about yourself have to be in alignment with that if you're ever going to make sustainable change to the habits and the behaviors that also, of course, need to change if you're going to create a life that doesn't exist for you today, right? If you want to create that ambitious and balanced life. And so one of the ways that you can do that is you could focus on, if you need the guidance, you could just simply take the enough triad and start there and just take one of them. and maybe tomorrow morning, set a timer. I like to set timers. Otherwise, I feel like these exercises can go on for like ever and I don't want to do them. So I start with 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever feels right to you.
Right.
Set a timer and just pick that one thought. I am enough. And then start to meditate on that and start to write how you know that to be true about yourself right now.
Oh,
what's
good.
evidence of the truth of that to you? Mm-hmm. And then the next day, go with I'm good enough. And how do you know that's true about yourself? They're different. I know they sound very similar, but they're quite different. And then how do I know I'm doing enough? So just, you can keep repeating those 3 phrases over and over again, just thinking about how I know this is true about myself. Let me find evidence for how I can believe that today. And you don't have to spend endless amounts of time. All you're really doing in an exercise like that is you're just trying to find that little bit of like shift that happens within you, where you just sink into yourself a little bit. And just even for that moment, you know it to be true. And then of course life happens and we forget and we have to do it again tomorrow. And that's all okay, because we have the negative bias brain. And so that's all part of the process. No problem.
Yeah.
But just that exercise of starting your day, remembering the truth of who you are and who God created you to be is going to shift your entire energy for the rest of the day. And that's then you could start to build those external habits after that.
Awesome. I love that. So good. And how can people connect with you?
Yeah, I love it. So you could definitely go to my website, RebeccaOlsonCoaching.com. You can find out more about the coaching that I do. I coach my clients for 6 months one-on-one, where we're creating both the ambitious life and the balanced life that you want simultaneously. So that's the work that I do. But I also have an amazing podcast that is listened to all over the world called Ambitious and Balanced Working Moms. And you can find that wherever you listen to podcasts, and definitely tune into that for very practical, actionable types of tips for creating that kind of life.
Yeah. Oh, thank you so much, Rebecca. Thank you so much for being here. And I just want to honor you. What you're doing and the work that you're doing is making a difference. Like, not only in you, I can see it in you, but in women all around the world. So thank you so much. I just want to honor the desire that God has put inside of you to be able to help other women do the same thing.
Thank you, Anita. I appreciate it. It's such an honor to be here.
You bet. All right. Have a great day.
Thanks.